here's what happened.
I'm sorry. That wasn't fair.
No, I tell them that too. So
Okay.
Holly, what happened was I just left Home Goods and I stayed there a little bit longer than I should have. I bought this big like 70s wicker chair. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've been wanting one.
Oh yeah.
$200, not $400, and it's teal. Oh, just wait. I had to get it.
Nice.
Somebody was trying to fight me for it, and I was like, "Get out of here, bro."
Wow.
Yeah, so I was sweating and I couldn't get in the car, and then some like really nice lady helped me. I was like, thanks. I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm trying. I'm sweating. Like, look, Holly said, "Oh, you're here. Hi, Mitch and Lindsay. We're like the dynamic duo. I don't care what anybody says. Like, we are the duo."
Yeah,
me.
We're pretty unbeatable. We span the generations. I don't know what to say.
All across. And I'm not a millennial, so careful. Oh wait, I am.
Okay.
I am.
I'm not.
I like to say I'm a boomer.
What's that?
I like to. I identify as a boomer because.
Yeah, we'll make you an honorary boomer.
Thank you.
I mean, because we invented the internet and we were the first hippies and we popularized smoking weed. What else did we do? We did all kinds of crazy shit.
Taught our kids to work hard. Like me.
I skipped over that, but.
I mean, we were supposed to teach our kids. They were supposed to teach. Anyways. Sorry, guys. So how's everybody doing? Hey, Anne. Anne, do you know Mitch?
Oh yeah, we're old friends. Anne is actually helping me to produce my audiobook. I just want to give a little shout out to her. Yeah, she's she's my official. I hope you don't mind me saying this, Anne, but she's been listening to it and proofing it, and has given me some great notes and caught some great errors, and so yeah, she's doing that. Thank you, Anne.
So cool.
Yeah. I just finished. Yeah, hold on. I just finished chapter 18, so the book will be done soon, and then I can get out of this bunker. Yeah, go ahead. Read DB Cooper's.
No, you read it because I'm trying to share.
DB Cooper says boomers won't leave government. Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, it's like boomers. Yeah, they need to go away. Both those guys are so pathetic. I don't want to get into. I don't want to get into politics.
Sorry.
But anyway.
That's kind of a bipartisan issue almost. But we will.
Yeah. I will tell you something though. I just since we're on the subject of the generation gap and the sort of shaming of one generation to the other, which is exaggerated in the ex-Scientology community. They call it, huh?
Really?
Yeah. It's because you have like the second gens and anybody who's like a quote unquote.
We don't do that shit here in the north.
No, I know we don't, but I'm just saying this generational rift is particularly ripe in former cult members. They seem to have a desire to make a big deal about the previous generation's trauma versus theirs. That's not my point. My point is there's 6 places in the world, which people are very familiar with, called the blue zones. The blue zones have the highest concentration of people who live to be 100 or more. And it has been studied. What do they have in common? One of the things they have in common is they worship the oldest generation, not youth. So they really look at the oldest generation for wisdom and direction. And that doesn't mean we should be having these 80-year-old tired old men as president, but a lot of people that age have great wisdom, not necessarily those two guys, but a lot of people that age. So we kind of shouldn't forget that. I mean, you think about some of the great contributions that have been made by people over 65, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, DB Cooper. Yeah, I agree with you. They need to retire. Yeah, they need to just get the hell out.
I do want to say that I really appreciate that you said that, Mitch, because I think that a lot of times I see you know, and this is anecdotal, but a lot of times on TV and stuff, when I see like a lot of the younger ones, like totally disrespecting the older generations, and that includes cops and this and that. And I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying older, like I always would respect my older, what do they call like my elders? I just
Yeah,
don't,
your
it's just a
elders.
proper thing, right? That's just what I was taught.
Well,
Are
I
they
mean, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, there is an issue in my experience with, I mean, older people, myself, I'm an older person, have a responsibility to sort of stay with what's happening, and a lot of us don't. I mean, I have hyper special interest in technology and the way cultures are built and the science of decision and why people make choices. So, you know, I'm going to be like a, you know, like an extraterrestrial scientist looking at Earth forever. I'm just going to always be doing that. So it's a lot easier for me to have a conversation with people a generation or two younger than me, because I don't pick my phone up and go, "What the hell is this?" It's like, how do you
no,
do that thing? How do you do that thing again? So, but
it's so
anyway,
oh my gosh, so true. But yeah, so what were we wanting to talk about? I know what we were
oh
wanting to talk about. It's a big deal and it's very
yeah,
important
we've been talking about this kind of just amongst ourselves as part of our
for a
friendly
while.
conversation. Yeah, for a while, and it's essentially it's what I call, and I'm not a mental health professional. I play one on YouTube. No,
Same.
just kidding. But I'm really just offering this as my own personal experience and observation. I'm not giving you some clinical data. I'm sure you could punch all kinds of holes in it.
He's not
Uh,
diagnosing anybody and he is just speculating on what something could be or blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know exactly what's wrong with people when I meet them, but I'll never tell them because I'm not allowed to. But
That's it. That's what I
yeah, I'm just going to shut up because I don't have the certificate that
be
allows me to just
yourself. You know what?
yeah
Just be yourself. Say whatever you want. If people can't tell that you're joking, there's then I
yeah
don't know what
screw
to
them.
do.
Yeah, I know. I have I have a big problem with this kind of weird humor that then people get.
I do the same thing though. Like the
Yeah,
ego, it's totally a joke, but people know it's a joke, and I think that they try to use that
yeah.
against you because they have nothing else. So
Well, yeah, because they
just
don't
kidding.
hear it. They don't hear it right. It's not if they don't they hear it, they mishear it. They don't get it because they hate you. The thing we wanted to talk about is what I call the normalization of emotional abuse. And in order to understand that, just to kind of define this so people understand it, one, why is this a big issue with me? It's a big issue because this was maybe the biggest turning point for me in my journey out of Scientology. It's a many decades journey. Uh, I wrote at the end of my book, spoiler alert, that when you leave a cult, it's the same with an abusive relationship, and we'll talk more about the similarities are frightening.
Mm,
You don't realize how broken you are. You think the decision to leave is going to propel you forward, but it doesn't. It's just barely the beginning. The decision to leave propels you into a world of pain of why you got there to begin with, and what you maybe did along the way, right? So for me, understanding this concept of the normalization of how emotional abuse becomes normalized helped me so much to begin to spot things like that. And I think the ability to do that, it starts with, and this sounds really cliche, it starts with being able to set boundaries.
yeah.
Nobody coming out of a cult has any boundaries. Nobody leaving an abusive relationship has any boundaries. Um, well, because are you asking me why they don't?
Yeah, I was wondering why because I keep hearing that. It's been like the theme of the week. I keep hearing
Oh, really?
about
Interesting.
other people saying,
Well,
"Well,
it's
there's no boundaries."
it's because whatever the chaos in your past, and I relate to this personally, in your childhood with your parents. I had wonderful parents, but whatever we had some issues and
Yeah,
difficulties and
you
whatever.
can say whatever you want. You can say my
Yeah, yeah,
story.
yeah.
Don't you ever
No, no,
be
no, not your. This is not your story. This is my story. I mean, it
I know,
wasn't.
but I thought you said you, so I was like, "Don't ever worry about saying anything about
Yeah,
me."
yeah, yeah, yeah. I won't. I won't. I won't. But anyway, so the point is you end up somehow being what they refer to as like a people pleaser. You want to fix things. You want things around you to be better so that you can be better. So it's somewhere along the line, you think adjusting your boundaries for another person or for a group is an act of kindness. You literally do. You're in a relationship, somebody pulls you in a relationship, you're deeply in love. The person is just, they've love bombed the crap out of you. And then a month later, they're like, I have to tell you something. I can no longer be monogamous. For me to be in any relationship, I have to have sex with whoever I want. And so you think, a person with boundaries would say bye. But if you've just spent decades in a cult, you might say, maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm, again, a boomer. And maybe this is a Gen X thing. And maybe this is like, and then the next thing you know,
it's me too. It's
yeah,
me
the
too.
next, yeah, the next thing you know, it's you're moving it's not just a generational thing, but I'm thinking, I read this thing that 50% of millennials identify as being positive about non-monogamous relationships. Like, whatever. I don't want to question how people answer, but I've never, and if you want to do that, that's fine. Me personally, I have very different. Yeah, I have very different.
I would never.
Yeah, I have very different feelings about that.
Yes.
So DB Cooper says, boundary, don't let your dog pee on my line. DB Cooper understands boundaries.
DB Cooper knows. Like, he is not disappearing. He knows.
I know. That's very funny. Yeah, okay, so I promise I won't let my dog pee on your lawn, DB. Anyway, so that's kind of how it starts. That it starts, people who are able to accept a normal emotional abuse at a higher level, generally speaking, have no boundaries. And so it's kind of like boundary work and understanding that those boundaries are, understanding actually what they are is kind of the beginning of that. But let me just explain, like, everybody understands the concept of pain threshold. This is just a well understood thing. People have a slightly different pain threshold. Women are reportedly have a higher pain threshold, which is a biological outcome from evolutionary outcome from childbirth. They're more prepared for childbirth because, let's face it, most guys couldn't, how can I say this nicely, shit a watermelon without going through extreme pain. Yeah, I waited till you were drinking to say shit.
Thank you so much for that. But
yeah, no problem. But my point is that, yeah, women have a higher pain threshold. So you've got, everybody understands this idea that some people have a lower pain threshold. There's physiological information about why some people are afflicted with too low a pain threshold. No, it's the same with emotional pain. There's a threshold where everything above it, gradiently, it's emotional pain, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Everything below it is okay. And it's like the frog that gets put in the room temperature water and the heat gets raised, right?
Yes,
what's happening is so your pain threshold and your emotional threshold gets raised in that same way without you noticing it. And it starts like this. You go into Scientology and you sign up, or any cult, and we are so glad you're here. This is the best decision you have ever made. You, like L. Ron Hubbard said, you have proven you are a friend of yours, all this like love mommy bullshit. So you, by the way, sidebar real quick, everybody thinks the word love bombing has to do with relationships like narcissists or, whatever. But there's a lot of different personality aspects of people who love bomb. That term was invented by Sun Myung Moon, the founder of the Moonies. That's actually a Moonie term, love bombing, because the leader of the Moonies said the way you get people into the Moonies is you love bomb them. You bomb them with love. So somehow it's been taken on by every cottage industry person on YouTube that pathologizes narcissism because they're love bombers, but it was really invented by a cult. So my point is there's such an overlap between cults and abusive relationships. So then you're in this cult and they're saying, we are so happy you're here and, blah, 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 blah. And then you sign up for a course. In the case of Scientology, you sign up for a course, you fork over some money, you're kind of having fun. It's a little more disciplined and harsher than you thought it was going to be. Right. And they're telling you things like, we'd rather have you dead than incapable. And you're like, that's a little harsh.
Wait, what?
And, well, there's a fundamental Scientology piece of doctrine that exists at the beginning of every Scientology course. It's called KSW1, Keeping Scientology Working. And it's the issue number one. In that issue, it says, we would rather have you dead than incapable. If they're going to join, let them join quick or get out. I'll get it sometime and I'll read it. This has been talked a lot in the ex-Scientology community. But so now things are getting kind of harsh. So a couple of days later, your car malfunctions and you're late, and you call the person and you say, hey, I'm sorry, my car broke down. I'm going to be late for course. You're in trouble. You're going to ethics. And so now you accept this pressure. That becomes a normal part of your emotions. You're like, I have to race to course. I can't be late. I can't. And you don't notice, like, wait a minute, these people they're like being harsh. You don't notice it. And then it just goes up and up and up. And then eventually, in the case of Scientology, you get to something like the notorious hole where Miscavige locked all these people up because the level of normal emotional abuse was so high that it was just a small step to incarcerating people in their offices and torturing them and, committing all these human rights abuses against them. Same thing with a relationship.
Did they stop the RPF? Is that a rumor?
Yeah, well, I mean, stopped officially. Yeah, the hole's been gone since 2016.
So
officially, and yeah, I think on any scale like that. But there's a woman, a SERG member who, well, last I heard, she was being held captive in the top floor at ASI on Hollywood Boulevard because they're really worried she's going to escape. So that would be like the hole. You're being held. That would be the same thing. You're being held prisoner on a Scientology property. You can't leave. You're under 24-hour watch. But the same thing happens in relationships. You meet somebody, they're like, like a disfigured personality. I don't like the term.
Huh? No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, because I don't like the word
emotional dysregulation.
Yeah, like a personality that presents itself as being very chaotic. And, they go through this love bombing period. And then before you know it, they're like, look, if you love me, you'll understand I need to have sex with other people. And then if you have no boundaries and you're like, whoa, maybe there's just something wrong with me. Maybe they're, and like they throw this shit at you, like toxic masculinity, which is a myth. It doesn't exist. It's just, I don't know who the hell made it up, but it's like, if I said that Amber Heard is an example of feminine toxicity, a lot of people would jump down my throat because they'd say, yeah, she's a really screwed up person, but there's nothing toxic inherently about being a female. There's nothing toxic about it. But
not when you abuse it. When you abuse it.
People become abusers and they weaponize their sexuality. But the concept of toxic masculinity is that there's something inherent in masculinity which is toxic. That's a total lie. And I think it's mostly supported by abusive women because they're like, no, it can never be us. But then you look at Amber Heard and you're like, yeah, no, it can be you.
Did you know that? I think we talked about this before. You guys, check me if you think I'm wrong, but the most domestic charges, batteries, aggressive, the perpetrators are women. And guess who they are again? Women.
Women on women? You're saying women on women?
Women. So yes. So lesbians, women on women are the most common type of, according to police statistics, like across the United States.
Well, yeah, but it has nothing to do with them being lesbians.
No,
nothing whatsoever. But yeah, I get it. I mean, I was going to bring this up, Lindsay. I was going
to make men look bad, and it's really not true. Men don't get the help because they're being shit on all the time. Like, and I'm really big on that.
Yeah, there's some really unfair biases against men that are, because men are brought up, women are brought up to protect themselves from evil men, and men are brought up to protect. Women. Yeah, but men are brought up to protect their family. They're the protectors of the community and so forth. I think it's kind of like it's a research problem. It's a statistical problem. You know, it's like autism. Um, and it was like, oh, you know, they're only looking at white boys. So therefore, most people who are neurodivergent tend to be white and they tend to be young men. And then when they really started testing everybody, they're like, no, it's about 50-50. And I think it's the same with abuse. It's not,
Black.
it's just that it's not reported because men don't report it. Men don't, you know, for one thing, they don't get believed. They're like, you abandon your family. Yeah, well, you know, they're, anyway, whatever. So
I know we could get into that all day long because I
yeah, but I think
not argument, like we complement each other.
Yeah, we totally agree. But I think in terms of gender, whether it's, you know, man on man, woman on woman, man on woman, woman on man, it's pretty similar. It's pretty.
Okay.
It's the numbers are pretty similar. It's like, you know, I read a report about borderline personality disorder, which was thought of as a mostly female disorder. And I'm like, no, that's just prejudice because that's completely prejudice. Yeah. And then it turns out the further research was like, no, it's about 50%. You know,
yes,
so
a lot of men, and it's been harder for me to understand the men's side of it because it kind of comes off as narcissism, and I'm taught that narcissism and borderline personality disorder are very similar except for a few different things.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted by
you're good.
I got distracted by the chat.
I want to say something too about what you were talking about when you said pain threshold.
Right.
That what?
Right. Yes, I remember.
Oh, I thought you said what? Sorry. The pain threshold, and you're talking about that, and that is something that I commonly use, like really commonly use when I describe rock bottom, because I don't like to talk about rock bottom. I don't believe in it, but sometimes it's got to come into play to get people to understand what you're referring to. But what I think rock bottom is for anybody is just when you've reached that emotional threshold, and it's different for everybody. And I had a situation today to where someone was like attacking me thinking I was like a party girl and I don't know trauma on this, and I'm like, I hope you get help, because no, like in a nice way, because it's like, no, it's okay, you can laugh. I kind of was like, what? Just it's because it makes them feel better, you know, and I feel bad.
I don't know what it is. There's a word for it. It's called victim shaming. And some people just, for some reason, they identify somebody as not having the right to claim trauma.
That's what it
like
was.
They make this decision internally that person, because they don't, what they recognize, it's just projection. You know, we all know what that is.
Yes.
It's just they're projecting whatever their thing is on them. But so yeah, you were saying about pain threshold.
Yeah, I think like an addiction, and I think like, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody else out there that hasn't suffered with substance abuse issues, what do you think about this? Like, changed behavior usually begins with me having been in enough pain to where I can't take it anymore, so I'm willing to try something new.
Yeah, I think there's no greater catalyst for human change than repercussions. And I don't mean the kind that the court throws at you or whatever, but just the general circumstances that you find yourself in life. You're like, whoa, I need to do something different.
Yeah.
You know, that's why for me, that is what rock bottom is. It's kind of like
a lot of people use it in the wrong way, and it's very dangerous, I think. But you know what? I'm not gonna toot right now about it.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, well, let me ask you, as an addiction specialist.
Yeah.
I've always thought, this is just my own like urban myth, like my own, you know, in my head space, like stuff that goes on. I'm like, you know, I think that part of a component of addiction is that, especially with painkillers. Like when I was addicted, it was to heroin, and I just didn't really like anything else. But it's kind of like I've always wondered if physiologically people who are prone to addiction have a lower threshold to pain. In other words, things hit them more painfully sooner than they would hit other people's. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, it depends on how long since you've used.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't used in decades.
Well,
So
a long time, yeah. So
no, but
I
I
believe,
mean, when you're on your way into addiction at that point. I don't mean later. Obviously,
oh
once.
yeah, your pain becomes worse when you're taking opiates, right? You're taking
Right,
Oxycontin, the pills.
right,
Your pain, when you don't have that med, your pain increases, and then you
right,
really need it.
right.
Mental
But
and physical, but
yeah,
physical for sure.
yeah. I mean, even before you ever start, you already have a lowered pain threshold. So the drug becomes magical because it's actually fixing something in a really bad way.
Yeah, and the thing
I don't
is,
I don't know. I don't know. It's a
no,
physiological
you're
phenomenon that
right.
I
You're right. Don't doubt yourself.
yeah, I
Um,
just don't know because I don't.
yeah, but you are very smart about this. I hope you know that.
Uh, yeah, well, like I said, I play a mental health expert on YouTube, so no, I
Oh, that's
don't.
okay.
I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, so okay. So moving on.
Sorry.
So how does that, in my observation, how does that affect your personality when you accept when your tolerance to normal emotional pain is high? In other words, there's a level of emotional pain. It's normal to you. Like it's right. So, but what does that do to your personality? Like, what is the kind of outcome, right? This was huge for me because
Explain a little further, so I want to make sure that I answer this totally correctly.
okay, okay. So,
I think I got it,
you
but I want
have your acceptance of emotional pain is very high. In other words, you've normalized a lot of emotional pain. So, what does
right.
that do to your personality? Excuse me. I'm having allergies. We have a horrible pollen season.
You're
I think
fine.
it does a few things. Like, and then I want to hear from you on this. But to me, it does a few things.
Mm.
For one, if the emotional environment you are in, like let's say Scientology, especially in the C word, is that it's very important for you to have enemies. And it's very important for you to attack those enemies because in Scientology, and it's not just Scientology, enemies give you legitimacy. Okay. They make you legitimate because what weak, useless person has enemies? They don't. The only
Can you
people that
say
have
that
enemies.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want you to say it one more time, please, because it's
Okay.
so important to me, what you just
Then you
said.
have,
I've never heard that.
okay. So
Having enemies.
having enemies legitimizes you, it makes you legit. Okay. Like America is a more legitimate country because we have nations with atom bombs just pointed at us, right?
Yeah.
Scientology, the Sea Org, L. Ron Hubbard, they created all of these enemies, psychiatrists, alien civilizations. Like he said that psychiatrists were the bane of existence for trillions of years. And so you have these, like the people protesting at the churches, those are the enemies. Those are like, look outside, guys. Like they're
Mhm.
at the gates. The enemies are at the gates. This is what we're up against. That's what they're looking at. So when people leave, and that also happens in abusive relationships, like the abusive relationship there'll be enemies, there'll be taboos, there'll be people you can talk to, people you can't talk to.
Right.
Uh, and so, but when you leave that relationship or that cult, whatever it is, and you're not actively really working on processing what happened to you, you're not puzzling your way through it, you're not taking it apart, you're maybe even saying, I would never get into therapy. What do I need that for? You carry with you that same level of emotional normalization, abuse, and you don't even know it. So you end up with chaotic relationships, you end up with enemies, you end up attacking people. and it seems totally normal to you. And you think that it's not in the name of Scientology, it's in the name of this new thing. So it's okay, but it's not okay.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's why when I see people doing it, I'm kind of a little empathetic toward them. I mean, you see a lot of this you see a lot of it on YouTube. You see like why, people spend like they have these very chaotic relationships, and yeah, sure, there's some maybe dumb people doing dumb shit, but people make that a big focus. It's very much like in Scientology. Also, abusive, like cults and relationships, they have very strict codes of behavior. Like, you're in a bad relationship, you need to act a certain way, right? You need to text me, you need to tell me where you are, right? If you're in a kind of relationship, I need to know who you're hanging out with. Is this not true? You ever been in an abusive relationship where the person
I
was
thought you were talking on Scientology that they did
No.
that.
I'm talking about you're in a well, no, they do that. No, they do that, but in a different way. But you're having relationships with somebody, and they're like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Where are you? Or who are you hanging out with last night?
For 2 hours.
Yeah, and so they have this. All abusive situations have a code of conduct that you have to adhere to. Scientology has spelled it all out and put it in a book. It's unobtainable, and it's not in your best interest. But it's that's what it is. It's like, you look at these guys. I see creators, just not just in the Scientology community, but I see just toxic people out there who've left their toxic thing and are now against it. But they're doing the same thing. They're having chaotic relationships. They're finding people to fight with. They're explaining certain codes of conduct. You have to do it this way. You can't do it that way. There's like, this is who you should like and who you shouldn't like. It's all from Scientology. And probably the thing that made it attractive to them was, before they ever got into Scientology, it was that's how the chaos of their family was. So then you get into Scientology or into an abusive relationship, and you're like, oh wow, this sounds really familiar. This feels familiar. I I don't want to be with that person because they're boring, but this person, they need help, and I can help them, and that makes me feel right. That's like my family, right? So it's weird. Yeah, I can help them. I can change them, whatever it is. It's just,
I know.
Hey, Alex is here. Let's give a big shout out to Alex.
Where?
He's in there. I just saw him.
You know what we should do?
What?
Guess. Come on, you're better than that. We should invite somebody on with us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what witness means. Can you put this up from her? She said, I have to relearn,
Which are you talking about?
737. Witness said, have to relearn relationships. Wow, Mitch. It can't be all adversarial all of the time. I'm not totally sure. Oh, it's a bit back of ways. It's from 7:37 my time. So that would be 8:37 your time. I'm just not sure. No, but this is also an interesting comment. Yeah, because I agree with her. I think these cluster B disorders are all just a variation of one thing. I think the fact that they separated them out like that is just a way of so they can bill insurance companies.
I don't see Alex anywhere in there.
He's
apostate. That's what I meant.
Yeah, we should start calling him Apostle Alex.
I like apostle. What's the difference?
Apostate? Well, an apostle is a follower.
Oh, I see him. Oh my God.
An apostate is someone who's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. So I don't know what witness meant when she said whatever 24/7. I'm not sure, but
what?
Maybe if you're hearing this, witness, you can clarify that. It can't be all adversarial all of the time, 24/7. Well, no, it can't. I mean, in terms of a relationship, it can't be, because it goes back and forth. It's a push-pull. It does. But
Can we
Part of that.
invite apostate Alex on here with us? Would you
Should
mind?
we invite him? I don't know. I don't know.
Don't. No. It depends on if he wants to.
Yeah, Alex, if you want to come on with us, he says I'm here.
But you have to talk shit with us. I was winking, but you can't see it. Look.
Winking?
I was winking under my glasses. I've been trying to get to talk to Alex for so long, and he's so sweet. And like, I have just been seeing him. He said it's too late. I have been seeing him do so much more than I'm going to start. I don't want to start any drama, but so much more than a lot of people put together. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, Lindsay,
yes.
Witness just clarified what she meant. Thank you very much. I get it now. If you want to put that up. She said, yes, I come from a narcissistic family, think succession, but not rich.
Yeah.
So basically, your family had a really good dialogue writer. So I'm thinking succession. No, that's a joke. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I come from a pretty chaotic family where there was a lot of adversarial type stuff. So
I want to know more about what you think about the cult before I jump in the middle of nowhere and then.
Oh, the Scientology cult?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I kind of said my piece in terms of the, emotional abuse and how it becomes normalized. But the real stunning thing.
Normalized, though, can you explain how it becomes normalized in the cult first, and then
it's the same way it becomes normalized in a relationship? Because here's what happens: you have this constant push-pull, right? And your brain becomes addicted to it, just like a quote-unquote narcissistic relationship. Or even with a drug, the drug makes you feel good, then it makes you feel bad, then you feel shame, and then you need the drug again. And so it becomes very important to your survival.
Yes.
So therefore, you're willing to raise your level of emotional abuse, what you consider normal. You're willing to raise it for the sake of your survival, which is also just a lowering of your boundaries. You're just not going to see the red flag, because I've talked to people who knew Scientologists. They had Scientology around them. Maybe they're in LA and they were in the film business, and maybe they were an agent and they represented a bunch of celebrity Scientologists, and they're like, no, there's no way they were like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. I lost you. What's happening? Lindsay, where'd you go? Well, here you go. Oh, good. It's okay. You're back. So, but the thing is, some people, they're never gonna, like, some people can't be hypnotized. Some people can't be drawn into a cult. I never would have gotten into a cult, except I was incredibly, I was trying to get off drugs, and it was originally it's going to be very temporary. It was, like going to just some rehab or something. So,
would you mind telling that a quick synopsis of that story to these people? Because I don't think
not at all. Not at all. Some of them have never heard it, and some of them have heard it.
It's really inspirational. Over again. No matter how you got better, it doesn't matter. You got better.
Oh, yeah, I did. And not really because of them, so I'm 23 years old. I was addicted to heroin. I dropped out of film school. I was living with, the love of my life, quote unquote. She, a week before Christmas, I woke up. She had died in the kitchen of an overdose. So I was like a basket case, and I was like, it's a much bigger story than that. But anyway, there was a film director who directed a film called Dusty and Sweets McGee. I had been in this film playing a drug addict, and he had just started doing Scientology, and so he thought it could help me. He brought me into Celebrity Center. They were all, sure, we can help you. So I lived with them for 6 weeks. I got off the drugs. And then I went back to college and started a career. But I stayed in Scientology because it had kind of accidentally, that two of the most important things you need, the important essentials you need to get off of drugs is you need some kind of community, which is supportive and wants you to get off of drugs. And you need some structure, because without the structure, you'll just keep falling into that pit of your own pain. So you need to like be getting up and doing things and right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what you need. And so Scientology provided those two things. It provided community and structure and something to do, which at that level was helpful. And then I was in and out. I managed to go up to OT5, but I was kind of in and out and working on my career. And then, when I was about whatever 40, I got offered. I was hired by Gold because the church was so desperate to make films because that was their big failing. Hubbard said that the church Scientology wouldn't make it if they didn't have these films to train people how to do it. And they've been trying to do them for 30 years.
Wow.
But you can't treat people that way and expect them to be artists. So
I want to ask you a question.
sure.
Was there a time, or can you recall a time when there was a little bit of cognitive dissonance, or when you started questioning things and were like, this is kind of like not matching out?
Yeah. It was actually before I started working for Gold. Yeah, absolutely there was. And it had at some point, and it was after Hubbard died and Miscavige took over. Big caveat here: there's no version of Scientology that's ever going to be positive. The evil, everything bad about Scientology is baked into its DNA. So, but when Hubbard died, Miscavige took over. The level of interaction that was demanded of quote unquote, parishioners, they're just members of this cult, felt abusive. Like the demand to donate money to the International Association of Scientologists, to spend time on course, to buy courses, to pay for your bridge. I remember I was struggling a bit in my career. I owned a home because I did well when I was in my 20s. I bought a house. And I was with this registrar, which is basically a fundraising salesperson at Scientology. And they basically laid out what they believed I needed to do financially. And I was so shocked. I said, oh my God, do you realize I would have to sell my house? Now that's a way of saying, no, that's too much. Right? That's too much.
Yeah.
Her response was, well, let's talk about that.
What?
Yeah. And I think that's when I really first started to notice. And then later I got a job. A few years after that, I got a job working for Gold, and which I welcomed because I was tired of making TV commercials and I wanted to move into features, and I was spending all of my time writing and just hustling a few jobs. And so the Gold job was great because I could go do that for a month and like make some money and pay my bills and write. It didn't work out that way, but I was kind of like, okay, fine, I'll go work for them. I mean, the demand on me to donate when I started working for Gold disappeared.
Wow. Figures.
I was never.
I would have taken it.
Yeah, and so I took the job. They paid me some decent money. I mean, when I was working at Scientology Media Productions, I will say they were selling $15,000 e-meters, special colored e-meters, to raise money for the studio. And they did try to hustle me into buying one of those meters for $15,000. So, but other than that, I was never. I mean, how much? I mean, however much I spent on Scientology getting up to OT5,
did you have to buy all the books and everything, like every single thing?
What's that?
Every book? Did you have to buy every book, every course?
No. Once I went up there, I paid for nothing. It was all free.
Wow.
Any course I did, whatever. I never bought any. I never bought any books. I had them. I have a few copies. I probably stole them.
Here's Alex's question.
Yeah, well, I wasn't on staff. For one thing, I wasn't on staff. But here was the deal. Yeah, so I went up there to do one film, and it went really well. So they were like, "There's no way we're going to let you out of here." They didn't say that, but it was like. So there was a guy named Greg Wilhare who today just has a menial job, but he was once one of the great superstars of Scientology. Wow. This is a guy with movie star good looks who played quarterback for Villanova. He was the class 12 auditor. He was, girls just used to swoon over him. Today he has a shitty little job at a computer. Greg was maybe 2 or 3 in command at that time of Scientology. I mean, there were these 4 people in charge: Miscavige, Greg Wilhere, there was Marty Rathbun, and Mark Yeager. These were the guys that were in charge of Scientology. Yeah, interestingly enough, Miscavige locked all those guys up in a prison. But anyway, so Greg came to see me, and he said, Dave wants you to know he's really happy with your work and that he'd like you to stay here and make 7 more films. And we know it'll be a problem for you to do Scientology because you're going to be working up here. So he just wants you to know whatever you need is yours. You don't have to pay for anything.
I would expect that. You know what? People that say, "Oh, well, he didn't have to." You know what? I would expect all of that.
Well, they were already ripping me off on my fees. I mean, I was being paid much less than I would be paid.
Of course
So,
they were.
Yeah, but here's the joke. Like most people, and Alex, he can verify this, people who are on staff or in the Sea Org or me, you don't have time to go up the bridge. You're not going to go up the bridge.
People, I've heard that.
Yeah, you don't have time to do it. I mean, there's people, like Gold is a really chilled place now because Miscavige abandoned it. So, when I was last up there, everybody was going to study and they were getting audited because they had nothing to do except kind of do this on each other. And he wasn't around to antagonize people. So,
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that there's knowledge reports that are written, so like people won't even talk to their spouses usually,
right,
about what's their feelings and blah blah blah. You already know what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So, like, every single day, it's just like, how do they? I guess it's like, how do you even get out? Because you can't like trust yourself, right? Like that's part of the brainwashing. Like, how does that work?
It is. Well, you just, I mean, how do you get out? Is that your question?
Yeah, because think about it, like how, so you can't tell your husband like, oh, I'm thinking about leaving, blah blah blah. But then like in your normal day, and it's like you have nobody you can talk to about that, right? You'll get a knowledge on you, like, oh God, we're gonna lock her butt up, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think the reason people leave Scientology is because either the abuse that they personally experienced or witnessed is so high. I mean, for me, I got to the point where I'm like, I think I'd rather be dead than do this. Like, for 10 years, I was like, I don't want to be unemployed. I'm making really good money. And I'm always trying to hustle and find in my spare time some other gig, some other job, because I want continuity of income. No, I never achieved that. And now I'm whatever, I'm struggling. But, it's like, I got a check from Amazon the other day for like $50 for selling some books. And I looked at that. Not a check. They put it right in your bank account.
That's cool.
And I looked at that and I went, you know what? I don't care that it's only $50. That's the most honest $50 I've ever fucking earned. Okay. Like, yeah. And so it was like, I was really grateful for that because, whatever, I lived off dirty Scientology money for 3 years. Now it's gone. I'm hustling some other gigs and doing things, and they're all really good things. They're things that help people. They're things that reduce harm. They're things that are inclusive, which is, anyway, that's a whole other issue. It's one of the reasons why I'm not so fired up about being an anti-Scientologist, because that's fine to do that walking out the door. You talk to the press, you talk to the FBI, you write a book, you do your thing, and then go do something good, for crying out loud. Go help the world be a better place. Like, you don't have to stick around and be an anti-Scientologist forever. You don't.
Why do you think
can't? What's that?
Why do you think that they do that? That people do that and stick around?
Because I'll tell you. Oh, and like they just become career criminals, anti-Scientologists. Why do they do it? Because they've never processed their level of normal emotional abuse. That's the chaos that they left the cult with, and they're going to keep living it. The easiest thing in the world is to look at another person and tell them what you think is wrong with them. The hardest thing is to look at yourself in the mirror and try to figure out what the hell is wrong with you. And that's really painful. That is not an easy thing to do. And none of these guys, they don't do that. They'll even go so far as to tell you they don't need to do it.
What about hypocrisy? This is something that I do not understand why. I'm thinking like I've never seen anybody in, well, not everybody, but a lot of people in like the limelight of YouTube and stuff that I don't know if they don't understand what hypocrisy means, or they don't care. I really baffles me, because that's like the first thing I look for in a person to see if they're lying or if they're.
Well, I heard somebody say, I think this quote might be attributed to Jeff, the wisdom of Jeff Bridges. Our words reflect who we pretend we're being, and our actions reflect who we are. So
True.
you really need to just, and the same goes for texting, because I've had a lot of.
Do they not know that they're doing it though, by saying like you this, you that, you this, you that, but then meanwhile they're not doing it? Is that like a
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I do know that I do know that one of the mistakes I've made in the past, and I'm thinking of one particular very abusive relationship that I had, where you think this is me and this is the person, and your experiences, they kind of fit together. Right. They meld into a whole, right? Into this, but they don't, because that person's experience is completely different from yours. Like, it's not like if you actually compared what happened in some horrible breakup, the other person would be like, that's not what happened. They would both be like, that's not what happened. Exactly. You abused me. No, you abused me. I mean, the thing is that keep in mind that a lot of these, quote unquote cluster B personality types, which I think they need to change that whole name, because I think it's BS. But right, they're all shame based, and I really understand this. Like, we all feel, most of us feel bad when we do something, even if we get involved in a relationship and we realize it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to need to hurt this person because in the long run, it's better for everybody. And you sit down and you say, look, this isn't what I wanted. You're going to feel some shame, right? Like, you're going to walk away from there feeling, I don't want to be doing that to people anymore. I want to like find somebody. It's just a normal thing if you're like an empathic person, right? If you have a normal level of empathy. But these quote unquote cluster B disorders, they paint you black. And I've had it happen to me where you become to them the worst person in the world, because that way there's no shame in leaving you. There's no shame in cheating on you. There's no shame in destroying your life because you're a horrible person. And it's a terrible thing for anybody to go through, to kind of be on the other end of that. But they don't know it. They don't know it. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some really evil people that just are out to destroy people, and they know exactly. But there's a lot of.
No, sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of people there's a certain percentage of people that engage in what is called love bombing for a number of different reasons. There's, the quote unquote narcissists exhibit this tendency. They do it as a way of controlling and manipulating people. I've read studies where people with ADHD, because they hyper focus, and this is not against people on the neurodivergent spectrum, because I'm currently involved in a film project with a community of neurodivergent people. There's some of my very dearest best friends. What's that?
I am too. So
yeah, exactly. So it's not about that, but because one of the attributes of ADHD is they do hyperfocus, and so it looks like love bombing, but they really do love the person. But it's like a hyperfocus, and sometimes if they have not done any therapy and they're not really developing coping mechanisms, they might end up becoming disappointed in the target, realizing, you know what, it's crazy, Lindsay, what is wrong with humanity? We fall in love with strangers. Right? What is wrong with us? We fall in love with strangers, and then we leave people that we know intimately. Right? Yeah. Like, what happened to like falling in love with people? Yeah.
So no consideration, no nothing.
Well, I think it's more like, it's just like some of it's brain chemistry, some of it's projection, some of it's, I have a really good idea of my ideal partner in my mind, and then I meet this person and all of those ideas flat out onto them. And then they become idealized, and then you realize, that's not who they are. And then they're horrible. They're the worst person in the world for doing that.
Yeah.
And then you just have your garden variety cheaters, men or women. They want to get laid. They want to cheat. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to blow up their egos.
And they're easy to spot and easy to get rid of usually.
Hey, would you put this comment up from Tess Ilix? When you're not allowed to date, how can you marry someone not knowing feelings? Blah blah blah. Okay, so this would be specific to this.
Read it slowly so people can hear.
So Tessalix, I hope I pronounced it right. When you're not allowed to date, how can you marry someone not knowing feelings are important to share? That's why so many divorces in Scientology. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's very specific to the Sea Organization because, with public Scientologists, people that aren't on staff, or even if they are on staff, there's a policy in Scientology called 2D rules, and basically, for parishioner people, the church is supposed to be hands off. Like officially, they don't care what you do. You can bang as many people as you want. You can be gay. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's in writing. Next time we're on, I'll pull it out. I have a copy of it.
The Sea Org?
No. Just general Scientologists. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Then there's another one for Sea Org members, and that one's like, you better not be caught.
Yes, I've heard
alone with that person for 2 minutes.
You have to marry them and have sex. I only met her twice, and then we got married. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's because in the Sea Org, marriage is dating. It's the same thing.
It's crazy though.
Yeah, no, it's like you just get married. I mean, like up at Gold, the dining room. This is hysterical. The dining room at Gold, there was this one table that was all the pro guys. Like there were no Sea Org people there. Yes, Witness says I think that is enmeshment, and she's absolutely right.
Oh, what is enmeshment? I wanted to ask you what you were talking about. Mine?
Enmeshment? Not at all. It's when two people. It's another word for codependent.
I have it with my mom.
Yeah.
Or vice
exactly.
versa. Working on that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's another word for codependent. It's just like, I need to lie about you because you take care of me. So now we have this very, I'm gonna help hide your alcoholism because, I need to protect the kids. And you're sort of enabling one another. You're not really handling the problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
I had more questions, so keep going while I think.
Witness said they did change the DSM-5. I guess, yeah, I'm not a big DSM fan, only because I think it pathologizes mental health way too much. I think I mean, it's human behavior. Like we found a way to, we're not strangers anymore, Mitch. It's okay. What does he mean by that? I'm slow today.
I owe him an apology. I owe him a real apology because
one night. Alex is my boy. I have 2 sons. They're both named Alex.
I really like him a lot.
I have my actual genetic son, who's an incredible guy, whose name's Alex. And then I have my other chosen family son, who's Alex. He's younger than my younger kid. So you can't say nothing bad about my kid, Alex, either Alex. So yeah, he's a really good guy. He does great work. He's super helpful. Anyway, now he's probably gonna just give me shit.
Rude.
Oh, it's because Alex said you could put this up. He said it's because you said we fall in love with strangers, so I said we're not strangers. That's right, Alex. That's why I'm breaking up with you now that I got to know you. So
well, then can I have him? He doesn't want me.
Yeah, sure. Oh no, Alex.
Alex, take me out on a date. Do you want to? I'll take you.
He's in London. He's in London.
I will take him on a date.
Okay. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
I just need him to agree. He said, anyway. That is not an agreement.
What?
He's so cute. LOL is not an agreement.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Hey, Alex, so you've been doing some really, really good stuff, bro. I see all your stuff on the PTS Discord coming in, and it's like boom, boom, boom. You're like the only one. I'm not gonna say the only one, but The only one I see. What was that?
Yeah. Okay. So what do we need to cover next?
What do you think is the biggest? What do you think personally is the biggest not help, but biggest communication style or way to help someone that is still in Scientology and the Sea Org, whatever, what have you? What do you think is the best thing that you could come up if you could go up to them and talk to them and say, "Hey,"
You can't. It's you're the devil.
right?
You can't. You're better off just staying away from them. I mean, if there's some way you can let them know, if there's ever anything I can do to help you, I'm here. And that's it, period. Because they just think we're the devil. It's just like, if
Perfect
like,
to say that.
yeah, like think of other extremist religions. Like there's some Christian sects, they're usually offshoots from a main religious body because main religious bodies try to maintain, I mean, even the Catholic Church provides 25% of all the healthcare on planet Earth. So you can't.
I got no idea what you're saying, dude.
What?
I don't know anything about religion, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard
Okay. The Catholic Church as an institution,
no idea.
you know what the Catholic Church is. They have a pope. Um, they provide 25% of all the healthcare on Earth. Okay. So, at least they're trying to do something. But my point is that there's a lot of sects as they fall away from their original beliefs that get pretty nasty. But all religions have done horrible things over time.
Religion is I'm not gonna say it. Woo!
Ask questions, get them thinking. Like, when did you last see your family? It's all about
Yeah,
planting the seeds. Yeah, I think that's true, but I think that's. I mean, Alex, we can have a conversation with him about that, but I don't necessarily agree with that because it's like these people also think that their family is the devil.
that's true.
So it's not like they're going to go, "Oh yeah, my family." It's not like that. It's like,
I think that would it would be hard though because it's a already preconceived notion. Like, so when I'm going to a client, they don't want to hear from me. Believe me, they don't already don't like me, and they don't want to hear shit from me. They think I'm a piece of crap. They think like I'm avoiding you, but it's nothing compared to what you guys deal with, right? So I just know a little tiny bit. But when I go up to them, I don't say anything. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I just talk to them and gain their trust.
yeah, I have a close friend who was my roommate for a while, and I've known her since she was a kid. Like my former wife and I got her into Scientology. She used to work for us as an assistant, and her birthday's in July, and it's still in my calendar, and it comes up, and I know she's hard. I mean, she has a successful job in the film industry. She's a technical craft person. Uh, and I always want to reach out. I think I did maybe a year and a half ago. I reached out, and I always want to just I want to wish her happy birthday. I just want you to know that regardless of circumstances, I still love you, and I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I just think being a decent person, but she talks to me, and she's in a world of hate. She's in a world of trouble. I mean, it's horrible.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I only have a few friends that I cared about that I really just had to give up. But it's like whatever. What are you going to do?
True. True. What did Alex say? Only if their family has been declared. I know someone in the Sea Org and LA, but his family are public. In the UK, haven't seen them for years. It's hard for me to keep up with all of this stuff.
Yeah, but I get it, Alex. But at the same time, I mean, I knew a lot of people at Gold Sea Org members who, they hadn't seen their family in a long time, and maybe they might get a week off and fly to England and see them or whatever. And they all accept it as as proof that they're capable of making this tremendous sacrifice. It's just it's what they signed up for. They're not. It's like there's a tipping point, just like the emotional abuse becomes normalized. But then at a certain point, if you experience it enough, you want to get the hell out of there, and that's what happens. So you're not abusing it. You're not really I mean, I don't want to be mistaken for somebody who is down on the quote unquote protesters, because I'm not. Because the Church of Scientology deserves all of these kids to be harassing it and making money doing it. They totally deserve it. So, but I don't think for a second that that's going to get people out of Scientology. I think it'll keep people from going into Scientology, but I don't think it'll get them out. Huh? What?
I don't know. I wondered that myself, if it really does stop people from going in. The yelling.
I think so. I do. I think it raises public awareness. Yeah, because they see the protesters and stuff. They're not necessarily glued to YouTube and making decisions about qualitative decisions about those individuals. It does, it does.
That makes sense. Scare them to do that.
Yeah.
So okay. So it just reminds me of how you get love bombed in relationships. You get love bombed in any kind of cults. Yeah. And
hey, remember, Jesus loves you. Jesus died for your sins. Like, there's all this stuff about Jesus, and that's really that is a form of love bombing. And I'm not down on.
Do they talk about Jesus?
Sorry?
Do Scientology talk about Jesus or anything?
No. I used to joke about Jesus all the time, because
okay. We used to yell when I was a kid, "Jesus loves you" by them when we drove by.
No. I used to just, like, if somebody, they love at Gold in Scientology, especially in the Syriac, they love to point out when people screw up. They really like to make a point about it. And especially if the person leaves. It's crazy. One day everybody loves them. The next day they hop the fence, and all of a sudden you start hearing these stories like, oh, she used to have sex with her father before she joined the Sea Org. These horrible things. Jesus. And you think, oh, wow, you guys really have a good radar for detecting bad people. But when I would hear something like this, I'd throw my hands up and I'd say, well, Jesus said, hate the sin, not the sinner. So just to be as a joke, right? Because I'm like, I'm not going to engage in your conversation about how horrible people are that you loved the day before.
Can I read this one? Because I want to.
Please.
I want to know what you think about my answer. If I know what I'm talking about. Why is disconnection important to Scientology and JW? Breakups are private. Why don't they change that ridiculous rule? Wait, so you're talking about disconnection and breakups in the same?
Well, I think they mean.
Breakup.
I don't think they mean relational breakups. I think breakups, they're referring to like a family breaking up. Well, it's not. It's a lot of religions do it. I mean,
yeah.
It's heavy bias. It's really heavy bias. Okay, so let's say you meet the love of your life in college and you bring them home to meet your parents, and you're going to marry this person. But this person is not from a socioeconomic background that your parents would appreciate. They might not even be the right color or religion for your parents. And then your parents say, you can't marry this person or we're going to disown you. And so you disconnect from them. You know what I'm saying? You make a decision, right? And so Scientology would like to have you believe that they're not the ones with the bias. It's the other person that has the bias. So they push this story, and I'm sure JW does it. I'm sure I know the Orthodox Jews, if you leave, Judaism and you're like, you proclaim that you're no longer a Jew, they'll hold a full-blown funeral for you. I mean, they will have last rites, a rabbi, everybody will get and mourn you. You're dead. Wow. Remember, I'm Jewish, and I know that Jews invented the saying "dead to me." So you're dead to me. It's just like a very Jewish thing. But yeah, so
you're right.
My point is that so Scientology puts this thing out that when you have people around you who are antagonistic to your progress and your goals as a Scientologist, it will be spiritually damaging. It will prevent you. That's why you have to disconnect from them, because it will literally prevent you from progressing.
When you're done, I have another question. These are all things I wonder all the time.
I'm done.
Oh, so ad hominem attacks. And I know that that's like part of their policy, et cetera, but
Yeah.
why do they think that that's the most effective way when, in my opinion, it is very much not?
Yeah, it's not. It's actually been self-defeating. I mean, yeah, it's created way more trouble. Like, they're not doing hate sites anymore.
What
I
do you
haven't
mean?
seen a new hate site. Well,
You just said
the hate websites, they don't do it anymore because they've learned their lesson. They used to
they're adding to them still. Like,
new info. Actually, no, you know what? Well, they did. I know the Stan League did something on Alex, but I don't know if
go
they
look,
actually
go look.
I
You
don't know if they actually did a hate site. They've never done one on me. And I don't think they ever will. Okay, so yeah, he got a hate article on Stanley. They're just not putting out full blown new websites, and they're not because
oh,
people turn them in.
the aftermath people
Yeah,
did.
but that they don't do it anymore because everybody turns it into content. They wrote these letters to Leah Remini about how when she was doing the TV show, they wrote her
Yeah.
these letters. They would write these letters. Miscavige writes them, and then they're signed by this woman, Corinne Powell. She's just a puppet. She's never done anything but say yes or no sir her entire life. But
Wow.
so what was I? I lost my train of thought.
I'm
So
sorry.
but no, it's not your fault. It's my fault because my dog's barking outside the door. He's being a little bitch. Knock it off, Weston. I love you, but I can't deal with you right now. I might have to let him in here.
Go for it.
Nah. So yeah, what was I saying about that? Anyway, the hate sites they have. I mean, I don't think they've done one on me because I have these letters from David Miscavige saying that I made the most important film in the history of humanity. I have these letters that so they can't say I was nobody. I'm a piece of shit because I'm like, but dude, you wrote this. You called me a good friend and you extolled my wonderful work. So how can they would just look bad. So I think with me, and some of those letters, I've read them on YouTube. So they know that I have a bunch of that stuff. Like I have personal correspondence from the leader of that cult saying what a great guy I am. I mean, it's like I've also had people in the Scientology community accuse me of being a Nazi war criminal and having 14-year-old slaves making my bed at gold, which is another example of someone who does not emotionally regulate well. That's just that normalization of abuse. Like attacking me like that is just like that's what hurt people too.
So, question.
Yeah.
There's so many. Why?
Yeah. Okay. So one comment. Witness said, "Ugh, the stupid Stan League. They are professional trolls for Scientology. They're
Where are we?
actually just. They're actually just. You should take the money symbol off of there and make it into a penny symbol because those are
Where?
Sea Org members writing that stuff, and they're making 5 cents an hour. So
You guys.
I mean, there's a couple of people that are public who do stuff for the Stan League.
Who are we talking about? Public what?
A couple of public Scientologists, not Sea Org, not staff. A couple of celebrities like Jim Meskimen. They're they always get put on the arbitration committees and they write articles for the Stan League and Yeah.
They posted my picture for a good year every few days.
Nice.
Yeah, I messaged them and said, please stop posting it. And they did. No response.
Yeah. Well, because you're like a non-combatant. Like you're like they lose lawsuits to people like you.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, because they can make an argument that they have some agency over your legality and over your legality to sue them because you were a member. Okay. And in some cases you've signed documents saying you were a member.
Right.
So if you're a member, if the court will look on it differently, it's the reason why I haven't done this because I'm so lazy. But it's like the reason that my friend Julie McKernan sent a letter of resignation to all the top Scientology entities because legally they can't come after her and say, but you're a Scientologist. She told them all, nope, I'm done. You lied to me. I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm done.
Let me tell you something about Mitch. You know about them going up, following me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to talk about him.
No, we're not going to. There was a certain individual that you had an unfortunate circumstance with. That individual is
4 years, and that individual is doing his own thing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
And I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
But they followed me around. They followed him around. Whatever. It was expected. But
they're not. They're not. Yeah, they're not going to do that anymore because they want to. They want to scare you.
But they didn't scare me. I told them
I know, but they do it because they want you to feel threatened.
But I threatened them. Or maybe should I not say that on YouTube?
Say what? Say what?
That I threatened them figuratively.
Oh, threaten them with what? A lawsuit? That's okay.
No.
How did you threaten them?
Figuratively.
Oh, you mean you were a threat because you were part of that person's?
No. I'm covering my tracks. I was gonna try to meet up with them, and they were like getting a little nervous.
Anyway,
well, pound them in the fucking ground.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought they would be more proactive in but for all I know, I mean, I've had all kinds of difficulty getting work and For all I know, they have people shadowing me. I mean, they have influences.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, so they may be. And then I had somebody else who was really smart. Who said, "You know why you don't have a hate site, Mitch?" And I said, "No, why?" And they said, "Because you got Aaron. He attacks you all the time, and Osa loves that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it." So I don't want to get into a whole thing about him because he's not even worth my time.
No.
The fact of the matter is, I don't understand why people never ask the question. David Miscavige and Aaron Smith-Levin have the same agenda: destroy Leah Remini, destroy Mike Rinder, destroy the Aftermath Foundation. Like, do they hang out and drink and figure out how they're going to do this?
No, many people are saying this now. Like many.
Yeah, why are they? Why? I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it.
I have no idea.
I get that he got butthurt over being let off the foundation and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but you know what? It's all in history, and
it is.
It is what it is. And
I think it's because of, personally, since the cat's out of the bag here, I think it's because of possibly there's a Colombian connection.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people don't know.
What you say. Allegedly.
Yeah, well, I think there isn't. Well, I know that there is a connection. It's just whether it's anecdotal or not, because it is a fact that the safest country in the world right now for Scientology is Colombia. People, you don't hear that. Yeah, you don't hear that. But the Freewinds, their luxury cruise ship for millionaires, cult members, they dock in Colombia more often than they dock anywhere else.
That's weird.
And the Colombian secret police and the Colombian military, they love David Miscavige. So there's no chance that anybody is going to go to Colombia that OS is interested in, and that they're not going to make the connection and go, "Hey, can you keep an eye on this person?" So I don't know if there's something there or not. I'm just like, it's always really puzzled me that people don't ask these questions. They, especially the one about, okay, so who's trying to destroy the Aftermath Foundation and Aaron Smith-Levin and Leah Remini and Mike Rinder? It's the same two people are out to destroy them.
Yes. I have another question that I've been wanting to know for so long.
Apostate Alex just said, let's not get into all this. But anyway, I'm done. Yeah, we're not going to get into it. I don't really care. I mean, I don't care. They can burn my YouTube channel to the ground. I could care less.
No, we're not attacking them. It was we're
I'm
just
not.
talking.
I'm just saying. I have curiosity about this.
We were just answering a question. Where is why do I see that? Okay, don't read that. Okay. No offense, you guys. We're gonna get off that subject, please, because it always turns into a shit show.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in my chat yesterday, and I just laughed and let it go. They think I'm getting paid to stop talking about someone, and I was like, I wish.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, done with that. But I thought that was pretty laughable. What I want to ask is, what is going to be the best way to take Scientology down, or is it never going to be taken down?
It's never going to be taken down. The reason is it's never going to be taken down, ever.
Don't people need Scientology? Like all those people that
nobody needs Scientology.
No, people that are grifting need it.
People that are what?
The people that are grifting and making money off of it do need it.
Well, I guess, I mean, the reason why it's never going to go away is it's an idea. There's cults. I don't know the names of them, but there's cults that have been around, and there might only be 10 people left in the cult, but they're going to be around forever because it's an idea. Yeah. And you're not going to gather up every Scientology book and destroy it and blah blah blah. So it's always going to be this thing, but it can be made to be a whole lot less harmful to society. It can lose its tax exemption. It can, lose a lot of its buildings and its different stuff. And it can just remain as this sort of oddity. I mean,
I don't know, because I see a lot of them. I'm sorry to say this, but I see a lot of them exhibit, I don't want to use the E word, but certain types of characteristics that, I don't want to say run in the family or run in all of it, but I see a lot of sickness with a lot of the people that are leaders, and I just don't know how you can get things together.
In Scientology?
Yeah. How can you get things together? It makes me sad because there's people like suffering in there. And that's not even my thing. Like, that's your thing. Like, that's not my community. So I can only imagine how you feel. Having,
feel about what?
People being
confused.
Stuck in there.
Stuck
in there, not knowing how to get out, no help.
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, to be honest. I really don't. There was a bunch of people at Gold that I cared about and that I worked with. And then over time, I was just like, originally I didn't speak out because I didn't want to spit in their ice cream. I thought these poor guys, some of them were born in the Sea Org. They should just be allowed to live their lives. And then I realized, not speaking out, it just helps the abuser. It's like, as much as they might hate me for speaking out, at some point in the future, they're probably going to call me. I mean, the number of people that called me that called me that I'd worked with, especially in the early 90s, thanking me, like they'd all left, 92, 93, whatever, all the way up to 2000, called me, thanking me. Like I had a great time working, because of you, I learned how to make films and now I got a job and I'm successful and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's important to recognize the importance of speaking out. It does do that. It does help you're not helping people in there by not speaking out, but I don't know that.
That is beautifully said, Mitch. I just hope you know that.
Yeah, it's not in my blood to go protest. I tried to organize a protest at Scientology Media Productions because that's where Miscavige is. I'm like, why aren't you protesting like where his office is?
There's so much other things you can do too.
But I think if you can talk to law enforcement, if you've seen something,
I like cops.
Yeah,
I like cops.
Well, then you really like the FBI. But anyway,
too. People won't get it. Inside job.
You can report on what you've seen. You can write a book. You can do media. You can do whatever you can do, and then you can think about how to make the world a better place, not just how to tear stuff down. So Apostate Alex nailed this. somebody said something about Nexium.
They weren't big enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have religious protection. I mean, the problem with Nexium is that Keith Raniere is the world's laziest cult leader ever. Like, he was just so lazy. He just didn't put the work in. Hubbard was not lazy. Miscavige, he has he's very talented at making people think he works hard, but he doesn't work nearly as hard as he does. And he'll burn the midnight oil if he needs to for a legal case or to write a speech for an event. But Keith Raniere wouldn't do that. He's like, I want to brand some bitches and get laid. He was so lazy. He was like such an easy target.
Alex said Nexium never had religious protection, and I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, that is the absolute reason. Keith Raniere would be out today. I mean, he did far less dangerous things to people than David Miscavige did.
Wow. LOL, Mitch gonna sound bad, but yes, Keith effed it up.
Yeah, he did. He did. He's just, I don't want to sound, because I mean, I have a lot of respect for a couple of people like Mark. Fuck, my brain is not working.
Yeah, no,
Sarah Edmondson, who is, does the podcast with her husband. Yeah, and Mark Vincente, who was a filmmaker I was aware of before Nexium, before any of this. While I was in Scientology, I thought his film, What the Bleep Do We Know, was a really good film. And I really respect these guys. My big question is, how come, I mean, yeah, I said Vicente. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, anyway, my question is, I know that there's people, maybe Mark, maybe Sarah, who made money in Nexium. I mean, Sarah was near the top. She probably made a lot of money. But for some reason, the fact that I made money in Scientology has been criminalized by members of the ex-Scientology community. And it's so funny. It's because... Remember,
it's a select few, though.
Yeah, no, I know that. And also...
have no brains.
Yeah, a lot of people, there's a lot of people who were in Nexium are much more fortunate than they were in Scientology, because there's a lot of people who appear to be pretty healthy after, like Vincente seems, I watch his stuff. He's very bright. He's very talented. I like Sarah Edmondson and her husband. I forget his name. I listen to their stuff. I watch their stuff. I really like them a lot. And I'm like, yeah, they did okay. They came out of it and they did okay. And I'm sure there's others too.
Yeah. It's pretty
I've never heard one of them say they didn't need or want therapy. So
you don't think that Scientology will ever be completely taken down? I don't either, but what do you think would be the closest thing that will reduce the numbers? I know, isn't it like 20,000 or so that are?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that it's between 20 and 30,000. It's probably even less now.
That's like nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. And they have a ton of money.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Excuse me.
So can I ask you a question? Everybody in the chat, why are so many people protesting outside of Big Blue, not doing anything or putting boobs on people and yelling at other victims? Like, I'm not being facetious here. I'm genuine questions.
I know. I've seen some of these protesters engage in some victim shaming. Like,
does it help though?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it helps at all. I mean, yeah, I don't think it helps. I mean, I remember I got a letter from somebody that really, I mean, I actually answered it. I never answered this mail, but this one, I had such a good argument to give them back. They pointed out they'd seen the Youth for Human Rights, quote unquote, PSAs, they're short ads for the Youth for Human Rights program, which was a program that I supervised. I didn't direct it. It was done by a young director that I sponsored to come up to gold. And this person said, did you do those videos on their website? How was that not a tipping point for you? How did you not leave then? And I'm like, whoa. So I did a very thorough job of explaining that this is a person who claimed to have worked in mental health for 25 years, and yet, saying that to an ex-cult person. Yeah, no, they don't have a clue. It's like saying to a battered spouse, right? Male, female.
Even
Why,
worse.
when your spouse first hit you, why wasn't that a tipping point? Why didn't you leave? It's like you would never say that. It'd be the worst thing you could. You'd be completely invalidating that person's experience and their reality. So yeah, I get some silly emails, mails like that. This woman, she went on a roll. She was like, she was anyway. Some people, they're so deep into this cult. You know what the cult is? I'm not going to say it. It's the post Scientology YouTube cult. They're so deep into it that I get these emails from them, and I feel like somebody from OSA just sent me an email.
Someone from OSA did?
Well, no, it's what it feels like that these guys are. It doesn't feel any different.
I think it might.
Yeah, I get a letter from one of, who's big supporters, and I think it's like a letter from OSA. I'm like, what? What is this? No, I know it's not. I know it's actually. I know it's not.
Because it's probably the same people that message me. You should.
No, I guess I don't want to dox them. I'm almost tempted to read their freaking email.
They won't put their real name on it. The ones that did it.
Oh no, this person had their full name.
But they're fake. A lot of them. I don't know.
Maybe
the ones I got were. That's all. Not yours, maybe mine.
Right.
But another thing, it helps awareness and stops people from joining. All protests are helpful. Alex, what do you think about? So you think like the boob thing is helpful, or like screaming, get back into your cult? Just curious. Like I really am genuinely curious. I just don't. I think maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. Because I think it's ridiculous. Not you, Alex. I mean, certain people that try to do it and they're grifting, they're doing it for money. And so it's kind of sad. And yeah, I can't assign motive, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah, for me, the only question is, does the church deserve to have that happening to it? And it does.
Victims inside, and they're outside washing the chalk off, and then they're like harming the victims.
I don't think it's harming them at all when they see that kind of shit. I don't think it is. I think it's just
and yelling at them.
It's confirming for them that these people that are quote unquote protesting are insane.
And they're dangerous. And so why go outside the world?
Well, yeah, they just dig their heels in deeper when they see that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, so Punch Buggy says, can you see this from Punch Buggy? I can tell you that if someone stood outside my church, I can tell you it's right above that. I can tell you, this is from Punch Buggy, I can tell you that if someone stood outside my church and yelled that, it would have zero effect. That's my point, because you're in that, whatever, prison of belief, that mindset, whatever it is. And there's all this policy in Scientology, which basically describes what is happening at that moment, as these people are suppressive people who hate humanity and they want Scientology to fail. And they've been damaged by psychiatrists hundreds of thousands of years ago. They buy all that shit.
Crazy. After Alex's, I want to ask you guys, I want to ask you another question. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to protest. I think everyone has a right and whatever they want. Screaming at people is not okay, in my opinion, just in general. Well, they're saying that they're protesting and they're screaming. That's why I think that's wrong way.
Yeah, and I have to point out, Witness said that, well, it's not healthy to hear that stuff and not let it impact you, some of the adrenaline seeking. And she's absolutely right about that. But the thing is that getting back to this subject of the normalization of emotional abuse, that's part of the emotional abuse that they experience. I mean, It's
Damn
not,
right.
it's not affecting them as much as you would think, because they're already experiencing a real high level of emotional abuse that they're not aware of. So
they're expecting. I bet you when they're in there, don't they tell you guys, oh, what, the wogs or whatever, they're bad, they're bad. Like, stay away from them. They're evil. He said, put your mic closer, dude.
yeah, I got that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm bad about that. So, that
Having a
should be
presence
better.
helpful. I think it depends on what kind of presence. And I'm not talking about Scientology. I'm just talking about in general, because I've done my own share of things in my
Right.
so I'm not speaking on this. I'm
Right.
learning.
Right. Yeah. And Peter Anderson is right. He says they are actively trying to recruit new members. They just had a 1-month-long closure of L. Ron Hubbard Boulevard on Eventbrite to collect the information of attendees. Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I think I went by there a few days ago by the complex. I was just shooting some footage, and L. Ron Hubbard Way was closed down because they're having a festival for kids, for children. So, yeah, I
How are
know.
they allowed to do that? That's like illegal.
It's not. It's like a fun zone where parents can bring their kids
Oh,
down and they can have fun. But, they're gonna try to sign those kids up for courses over the summer, and, "Hey, is your kid have they done their peer rep yet?" Blah, blah, blah. It's all recruitment.
that's sad. What about well, it's not healthy to hear that stuff and not let it impact you. Stop the adrenaline seeking.
Yeah, no, you're actually right. I mean, I already addressed this.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
and so, but I think that I don't know.
Oh
I
my
don't
god, that she was in that ad. I thought that was fake. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
so in the North Hollywood,
Not the best choice.
I don't know what the North Hollywood is. Maybe that's the Oregon, the church
These
out there.
these protesters that Aaron has in like a SPTV kind of like thing. I'm not trying to be mean, but they're over there and they don't matter. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna engage in any,
Me either. That's why I don't talk about them. I don't care.
yeah, they're exercising a really important right. And
Right.
so
They can do it
even
over
if I
there.
did object to what and how they're doing it, I would still show up for the march to protect their right to do it, because they have an absolute right to do it.
I think, I don't know. Got to do it the right way, I think. Effective way. Do it
I
effectively.
guess. I mean, I guess. I think
Don't
lawsuits
like
are
go
pretty
hit
effective.
cops and like destroy the building. That's what I mean. Like, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
the right
that's
way.
illegal shit is people shouldn't be
Yeah,
doing
and they're
illegal
all
shit.
doing, a lot of them are doing illegal shit. Like, let's
Yeah,
be
it's
fucking
not
real
good.
here.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Anyways, who fucking cares? I shouldn't have cussed, but whatever.
Yeah.
Do what's legal, except it's hard for a lot of those people that don't have any moral.
Yeah, I wonder what was this ad, Peter Anderson? What was this ad that they put out, an ad for modeling? Was it modeling for Scientology? It must have been a local thing for the ad, because all of that stuff is done like at Gold or SMP. They do all that kind of stuff. I know I was talking to an actress the other day, and she was saying it had nothing to do with Scientology or whatever. We were just talking. And she mentioned, "Oh my God, I'm seeing Golden Era Productions is posting multiple auditions on the breakdown service every week." The breakdown service is where producers of all different kinds of media put their casting calls, and actors subscribe to it. And so, yeah, I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to start doing some reporting on Gold's ads that they're posting, because they don't say it's Scientology. Anybody can access it. Anybody
Cool.
can sign up for the breakdown service. And they changed the name of the films. They don't call themselves Scientology. And she told me they're paying $175 a day. It's almost like lower than minimum wage. You get $50 to drive up there and back for gas, and they give you $175. I think it was like a modeling class for teens, and it turned out to be recruited for the church. Oh yeah, they do that shit.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they didn't know the ad was Scientology. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, no, they do these seminars at Celebrity Center, how to break into the business. They do a lot of that shit, like how to, have a successful casting audition, blah blah blah. And they have some pros who are somewhat, have some success, and they give these seminars, and they're all about, you know, signing people up.
Wow. It's so outrageous. There's so many different
Yeah.
ways to recruit, and I don't know, it's just very sad. I've been seeing it my whole life growing up, seeing them walking down the street, and it's like so sad to see them like robots, you know? It's like I wish I don't know. But what are you gonna do, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? I don't know. We don't see them on the streets anymore. So I was working on this
True?
project. I needed some shots of Scientology staff members, SeaWorks staff members, people, what they call regging on the streets. They don't do it
Mhm.
anymore. The place is like locked down. There's
Really?
no more what they call body routers on Hollywood Boulevard. There's none on Sunset Boulevard. You don't see, like, they're really in hiding in LA, and the protesters, quote unquote protesters, have done this. This is like part of their deal. They shut down the test center. So it's
I
none of
heard
that
that.
is a yeah, none of that's a bad effect.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Propaganda. Vague, I know. Propaganda within the X community. I'm gonna try to explain it without explaining it too distinctively. A lot of the ex SIO community will use what I guess it's called black
Black
black,
PR?
yes. And so that's propaganda to me,
Yeah,
right?
it's black propaganda.
Yeah. So I don't I don't understand, like, do they know that they're doing it? Like, I know you
Absolutely.
can tell. Okay, is it
100%. They're doing it to hurt. They're doing it to harm. They're doing
how
it
does
to
it last
damage
so long though? How do they continue to keep up the story over and over and over again? It's quite amazing. I don't
because it's specifically made for people that are in Scientology, to make them feel better, to make them feel that the mother church is doing something about it. It's marketing, it's internal marketing. It's not like
But what
nobody.
about outside to us? Like the stories that they say about me and about so and so and about so and so and
Yeah,
so
but
and so,
nobody takes those seriously.
except for people's
I mean,
family.
I guess there are some people. I mean, I heard that.
I don't
I mean,
care. I'm just
yeah, it
curious.
usually backfires. I mean, I remember Mark Headley telling the story about, not too long ago, they were going after his clients, and they were writing these letters, right,
What?
to his clients, and the clients were contacting Mark and saying, "We're going to give you more work now," because it just backfires. That, like, because they hate
Wow.
Scientology. I mean, they do a lot of this crazy shit that backfires. It's like, during the anonymous protests, when OSA operatives did a fake anthrax scare at the
Jeez.
Glendale mission, right? I mean,
Oh,
they have blocks and blocks of fire and police. RTC put private security on my house for 4 days, and the whole thing was a ruse. They made the whole thing up so that they could claim that the anonymous people were terrorists, and then they could go to the parents of kids who were protesting and say, your son or daughter has joined a terrorist group. I mean, and all of that just blew up in their face.
that's wild.
Yeah, they keep doing this shit. It's really horrible because Miscavige can't help himself.
Because he's a wild man.
Yeah, if Scientology unexpectedly ceases to exist, it will probably because Miscavige lost his temper and accidentally killed somebody, and he's capable of doing it. I mean, based on, okay, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to accuse the guy of being a serial killer.
In your
I mean,
opinion, maybe you could say.
from what
In your
I have seen of his behavior, from what I have personally witnessed, I would not be surprised if a person like that lost their shit and shoved somebody accidentally over a balcony on a 4th-story building in the flag building, and they went splat on the sidewalk, and he got arrested and went to jail. It's, it could be something like that, because this guy, the pressure that he's under, because Hubbard was supposed to be back years ago. I used to have these conversations with David Miscavige where he would tell me that he was 100% convinced that he was going to come back in a future life, and he would 100% have total memory of all of his lifetimes, and he'd have all of his memory and all of his skills. He totally believed that, and to be able to force yourself to keep believing that under the circumstances is that's why he's crazy. This is my assessment, because everybody, when I first came out, everybody wanted to know, does Miscavige know he's running a con? Or is he a true believer? A con? Is he running a con, or is he a true believer? Yeah, a big question. And I'm like, he's both. He knows it's a con, but he also thinks the con is necessary because he believes enough of the crazy Hubbard stuff, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like it's a crazy kind of cognitive dissonance where both these things are true. It's a con. It's the con that's going to save the world. Then we have to con people because they're too stupid to know they need to give us all their money because we're going to save them. So it's like, and then you add to that, Hubbard didn't come back, and he's never coming back. You add to that somehow, Miscavige to some degree, he experienced Hubbard at the end of his life, and the guy was on drugs. You've seen pictures of him. His teeth were yellow. He was on drugs. His hair was down to his shoulders. He was incoherent, and they all hit it, and they all they shut that shit down. So you've got all these things, and yes, witness pointed out that there's no upper levels coming. Nope. So yeah, you've got all this stuff, but that doesn't mean that they can, if you really think Hubbard's going to come back, you don't need upper levels because he'll just do it for you, right?
Why do they believe that? Is it in the scripture?
What's that? That he's coming back?
Yeah.
We're all coming back. We're all coming back, not just them. We all are.
I'm going to come back as a different person.
Yeah, well, I have no opinion because I have decided to embrace this great unanswerable question about who we are and where we're going, because our purpose, I think, is to embrace that question, not to solve it. So Peter and what?
Look at you spitting truth over here.
Yeah, you're not gonna. And if you think those answers exist and you're looking for them, you're gonna get taken. You're gonna keep your hands in your wallet because someone's gonna grab it. So, Mitch, this is for Mitch and Alex. What do you think of the Whitney Mills lawsuit? I haven't really been following it. I think it's a little bit like the wrongful death suit, the Lisa McPherson wrongful death suit. Yeah, I just finished chapter 18 of my book is about David Miscavige. It's called A Sociopath by Any Other Name. And it has a little logo at the chapter heading. I should show it to you. It's a little logo. It's a bloody rose. It's kind of
send it to me. I want to see.
This one I'm particularly proud of. Where the hell is it?
I'm ordering food. Sorry, guys. I'm not ignoring you.
That's cool. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
Yeah.
It's a rose dripping blood. Okay. It's with thorns and blood. So yeah, that's that. So I'm kind of really deep into all this shit because I just finished reading the chapter and editing it. So, and it's a really fascinating chapter. I mean, I talked about this whole thing in the chapter about, spoiler alert, the chapter ends with the question, let me just make myself perfectly clear. On whether or not Miscavige is a true believer or a con artist, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the shit that he pulls, and he's a public safety hazard, and he needs to be gotten rid of. Who cares if he believes in it or not? He's freaking dangerous.
he's still acting upon it. Doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah.
It's so silly. It's just like when people are like,
Yeah.
"Are you an alcoholic? If you're an alcoholic, then you need to quit drinking." Oh, well, I'm not an alcoholic, so I don't have to quit drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just silly
Or
shit.
or as a friend of mine once said, when a producer that I worked for who owned an ad agency, and I was really concerned about his drinking because he was always at least a little drunk.
Yeah.
So I went out, had dinner with him one night, and over a big, bottle of wine, I said, "Look, I'm really worried. I'm concerned you're an alcoholic." And he took a sip of wine. And he said, "I'm not an alcoholic, Mitch. I'm a wino. There's a huge difference."
What?
So I only drink wine. I'm not an
I didn't
alcoholic.
know that. I had no idea.
Yeah. So
You know?
apparently, anyway, the guy was very funny. He had a great sense of humor, and he was an alcoholic. Uh,
Like me. No, I'm not. I'm not a active alcoholic.
yeah.
There's some more
Um,
questions here.
well, Punch Buggy has an interesting comment here. The government won't get involved in church activity unless there's something provably illegal that happens. Unless there's something provably illegal that happens. Essentially, you stay of your own free will and therefore willingly accept those events. That's absolutely right. It's the reason why the FBI won't raid gold, because there'd be a bunch of people saying, "Get out of here. We're
Yeah.
happy here. We love it here." I mean, sure, I haven't been off of there for 30 years, but I love it here. It's the reason they got rid of the hole, because even if they went in there and saw those people being held, those people would be saying, "No, we're good." A couple of them might have left, but
I can't believe that they stopped that. I was surprised.
did they what?
I'm surprised that they stopped the RPF. I was really
Yeah,
surprised.
I mean, I think they've just rebranded it.
Yeah, true.
So they don't have people. I mean, they still have. I'm sure there's still some iteration of it.
A hole somewhere else on the other side of the facility. Yeah, because
Yeah, and somebody Tessalix. I hope I'm saying that right. She said, they said, very curious about Mitch and Dave's conversations. Next book. There's a lot of conversations I had with him that are in my book. A lot. There's a lot of conversation. Funnily enough, there's only two things in the entire book that I would identify as feloniously illegal that I witnessed. So, because most of the abuse is like Tessalix is saying, that it's done with the consent of the people. They're indoctrinated to consent with their own abuse. So, you can't help those people.
Right. That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
What else?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you been are you reading the other ones on there?
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of looking. Nobody started anything, so but like I said, I haven't followed the Whitney Mills lawsuit. I think it's really tragic what happened to her. I think
Yeah.
it shows how vulnerable people are, and the further they progress in Scientology, the more unstable they become mental health wise. And it's just a matter of circumstances. There's a wonderful, I'm trying to think of his name, Healthy Gamer. Do you know Healthy Gamer? You ever watch Healthy Gamer on YouTube? He's got about 2.5 million followers. He's one of the people that I watch a lot. I just can't think of his name. He was a monk, I think a Buddhist monk, I'm not sure. And now he's a psychiatrist. And he's very smart. He's a very smart guy. He did recently, and I suggest people watch this. It was very helpful for me. He did a stream recently on what he calls shit life syndrome, right? And he actually learned this term from a psychiatric nurse when he was in his residency, because he asked them about a particular person, what is wrong with them? What are they suffering from? And she said, "Oh, he's got shit life syndrome," right?
What the heck?
Yeah, and it's like, and the thing is like some circumstances go bad in your life. you're out of a job, you're having real difficulty, and no amount of therapy is going to fix that because it's your circumstances. So you go and you see a psychiatrist and you are suffering from anxiety and depression. Maybe you have bipolar disorder, and eventually you've accumulated about 5 different diagnoses, none of which are helpful, and you're on a bunch of drugs. And basically that's called shit life syndrome.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest boon to mental health would be creating economic opportunities for people who are trapped in a lower income hell. Like if you could lift people into a better life, you're going to really improve their mental health in ways that therapy never could. So anyway, I could really relate to this idea of shit life syndrome because I think about Whitney Mills, and she had the Scientology version of shit life syndrome. She got all the way up to OT8, which didn't help. All that did was steal her identity and convince her. That's the highest. Yeah, all it did was convince her that she was something that she's not, right? And then she got involved with a guy who was a horrible person who really screwed her over. She became unbelievably distressed and heartsick, and she had really nowhere to turn for help.
Wow.
So she took her life, which is so tragic. It's just.
That's really tragic. That's terrible.
Yeah. Aposta babe. Oh, I like that name. Hey, Alex. Check it out. There's an apostate Alex, and there's an aposta babe. You should put that up. That's a very kind comment. Aposta babe, Linda James.
Oh,
it's getting late for you, Lindsay.
Yeah. I'm waiting on food though.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Does anybody have anything else they want to add before we head out? I don't want to burn you guys out tonight because we want to do this more often.
Yeah. We're going to do it more than once a month, I promise. Aposta babe Linda James said, "We can be available to those who choose to leave a cult to help them transition into society at large." That is such a great comment. And I think people need to be willing to do that. And I think, that's one of the real benefits of the Aftermath Foundation. They have helped a lot of people. Like I know this for a fact. Both to recover from and to leave. So, and I don't see anybody else doing that kind of work.
I don't either. I do not either, my friend.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get shit because I'm like, defending them because, there's a rumor going around that I'm on their payroll, which is 100% not true.
Well, who started that rumor?
Yeah, I did. No, you did. Hey, before we forget, can we do a little, I can't put anything up here, but I can't put shit up because I don't have any control over this.
What?
Well, I can't put up like my banners. Okay, good. So folks, if you're watching this on my channel, thank you very much. If you're not, please add me, please sub, whatever. Open tabs, watch Lindsay and I both. It helps us. I mean, the more engagement we can have, the more we're going to want to do this kind of stuff. Lindsay and I have this kind of overlapping interest in addiction recovery. And we both, I guess for those of you that don't know, I didn't spend any time in prison. I spent a few weekends in jail, but that doesn't really count.
Scientology is just as bad.
Yeah, in some ways, but for me, it was the golden handcuffs prison. But the thing is, Lindsay and I both got became addicted to heroin when we were the same age, and we both stopped using heroin when we were the same age. So, and we have a lot of similar experiences.
Crazy.
Yeah, even though I'm probably old enough to date her mom, but I'm not going to date your mom.
My mom, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to date your mom. But anyway, my point is we have talked about a great number of issues that we want to discuss. This is just one of them, and It's not literally about addiction, being addiction free, but the journey that gets one into addiction and out of addiction is a really important journey for people to understand, because the problems that you face in those situations will carry you out of a lot of bad situations. So
Absolutely.
it's yeah, having like what should we call it? Addiction IQ or whatever it is, compulsion. It's having an IQ where you
Well-being.
recognize,
Yeah.
because it's, I mean, addiction is, to me, it's a trauma response. It's literally a response to trauma that you've been through. There's no other reason. Try heroin once,
Yeah.
fine. Try heroin 100 times, you're probably medicating yourself.
Yeah. And you know
Yeah.
what? We ain't got to do that no more.
Yeah, that's a fact.
We rock.
Yeah. Okay, good. What else? So yeah, thanks if you also head on over to my channel and sub and like and do all that crazy shit.
I'll post it on
I don't know that mine aren't working. I'll have to turn my stuff back on. And then you can go to mitchbrisker.com, which is a website that Alex Barnes Ross, Apostate Alex, helped me set up. There we go. And you can go to Amazon and order my book. You can go to Barnes and Noble and order my book if you want a really nice copy of it. Or if you want one of those really nice copies, you can order it on my website for $60 and I'll sign it. And I'll come to your house and I'll empty your trash. Okay. Once. It's a one-time deal.
Goofball.
Yeah. Maybe I'll wash your car. And let me see what else. What else do I want to mention? I think that's pretty much it.
You are the prince. No working. None indeed. How about that?
Professor Mitch. Yeah, that's me. Thank you, Holly Jolly. Yeah. So yeah. I think I'm more like I'm more kind of a rabbi than a professor, because
what's the difference? I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, I do.
Know either.
But I mean, I don't know anything anymore.
Like a Mormon elder. Yes, there you go. Anyway, I appreciate that, Holly Jolly. Thanks for the compliment.
Yep. Tomorrow morning I'll be on at 9 a.m. 9 a.m.
Oh yeah, your time I'll be up, but I don't know what the hell I'll be doing. I'll probably be in this dreadful bunker recording more audiobooks.
The underground bunker.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have some really exciting projects that hopefully will bear fruit. I can't talk about them yet.
Oh yeah.
But hopefully they'll bear some fruit and we can start talking about them. They have nothing to do with Scientology directly, nothing to do with taking Scientology down. And in some respects, nothing to do with Scientology. So I'm very excited to be kind of moving on.
I'm down.
Yeah. So this is part of moving on.
Yeah, it is. This is that good shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I was so happy to meet Lindsay, because it represented something that I could do on a more positive note and not just talk about Scientology nonstop, which is
because I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it's just
no offense,
it's so boring.
But it's not my community. It's not my jam. I mean,
yeah. Plus, there's people I know. It's not my monkey, not my circus. Plus, there's a bunch of people.
Control.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people that own it, and they don't want us on there talking about it. They definitely don't want me on there talking about it, because apparently I know too much.
The thing is, I could totally bully my way into talking about it.
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. There's the glossy hardcover version of my book.
That is beautiful. Beautiful.
What's that? Yeah, it's a really nice looking book. It looks good on the table. I got a bunch of merch on mitchbrisker.com. You can get a poster of all kinds of crazy shit. But anyway, and you can go to, what is it? Buy me a coffee / Mitch Brisker, or you can buy me a coffee. You can help me support my work. Sorry?
Is it mitchbrisker.com?
Yeah, but no, the buy me a coffee is buy me a coffee. I think it's /
you
Mitch
Brisker. Learn that. And so you could put it
I know. Well, usually I'm streaming, I can put it up, But we have to work it out so that we're both a team, and so then I can put it up.
So I'm gonna have to write it down next time.
Yeah, because just
I'll add it in the description once we get off.
Yeah, good. You can put all that in there. There's a link tree on my my YouTube page. So thank you guys. I think we're winding this down. Holly Jolly, thank you very much for staying this long and for mentioning that this has been super enlightening. And I'm really thinking of getting your book, Mitch. Yeah.
Thank you, Mitch. And I'll see you guys 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to
and we will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Mwah.
All right. Mwah. Bye, guys. What is going on here? Hold on.
There it is. I got it on.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah.